Most students never get past a band 6 in IELTS grammar because they always use very basic structures. So in today's lesson, I'm going to show you 5 advanced structures you can use to improve your grammar score instantly. All right, let's start with the first structure, which is by plus verb ing. We can use this one when we want to show cause and effect or how something is done. So let's look at an example. By listening to native speakers and trying to copy them, I improved my pronunciation. So you might be thinking, well, Shane, why have you got the first part in blue and the second part in red? Well, the reason is the blue is the cause and the red is the effect. The red is the result. Now let's have a look at another example. By increasing the amount of public transport, the government successfully reduced pollution levels. So again, we are looking at the cause in the blue and then the effect or the result in the red. So increasing the amount of public transport was the first thing that happened. And then the result of that was that the pollution levels went down or they decreased. Now let's look at one more example. They are trying to lose weight by removing as much processed food from their diet as possible. So why do you think I've got that last part in green? Well, I'm trying to show you that the part in green is how they are doing it. That is how they are trying to lose weight. So by plus verb ing is a great phrase to use when you're trying to show cause and effect or how something is done. Now, let me show you a sentence with a lower level of grammar, and then let's use by plus verb ing to improve it. So here's the first sentence. If people recycle more, pollution will decrease. So just take a second. How could we use by plus verb ing here to improve the grammar? Well, we could say by recycling more, individuals can make a significant impact on the environment and at the same time help to reduce pollution levels. So I hope this helps you to see how just using a structure like by plus verb ing can make your speaking or even your writing sound much more professional. So verb ing is a great structure you can use mainly when you're talking about cause and effect and sometimes when you're talking about how something is done. It's very useful for IELTS Speaking Part 3 and Writing Task 2. Let's move on to the second structure now, which is the more, the more. Now please note this is mainly used in speaking and not so much in writing. So we use this one to show how two things change together. And that's the important thing. We're showing how the things change together. So here's an example. The more people use cars, the more pollution there is. So this simply means if people drive more, well, pollution is going to go up. Let's look at another example. The more people rely on smartphones, the less they have real face-to-face conversations. So you might be thinking, why have you got less in bold? Well, it's because that you can often change more to less. So you don't always need to say the more, the more. You could sometimes say the more, the less, or you could swap that around and say the less, and then say the more. So let's look at one more example. The more countries invest in renewable energy, the less they will depend on fossil fuels. Now let's have a look at how we can use the more, the more to improve our grammar. Here's a low-level example. If people read more, they learn more. Well, let's improve that by saying the more people engage in regular reading, the more they develop their understanding of various subjects. So this grammar structure can really help you to make your sentences more professional and also a bit longer. So this is a great structure you can use in a lot of different situations because like I said, you can change more to less and sometimes you can even change more to another word like better. Now let's move on to structure number 3, which is once or as soon as. Now please note that once is more formal and more suitable for writing, whereas as soon as is more suitable for speaking. So what does once mean and what does as soon as mean? Well, we use these words or these phrases to show that one thing happens immediately after another. And that's the key thing there. Something happens immediately after something else. It happens straight away. So let's look at an example. As soon as I finish my university degree, I plan to travel abroad for a year. So why do you think I've got the first bit in blue and then the second bit in red? Well, I'm trying to show you that the degree is the first thing. That's the first thing that happens. And then traveling abroad, that is the second thing. So we're using this phrase to show that one thing happens immediately after the other thing. Here's another example. Once governments implemented that policy, crime rates dropped significantly. So governments implemented a policy or started a policy first, and then crime rates dropped after that. And finally, last example, as soon as she got there, she ordered a drink. So let's have a look at how this can improve your grammar. Here is a low-level example. When the train arrived, people got on. So this sentence is pretty basic and there's nothing really special about it. Now let's look at a higher level example. As soon as the train arrived, passengers quickly boarded before the train departed from the station. So once and as soon as are great structures because they help you to talk about a sequence of things. What happens first and then what happens next. Let's move on to the fourth structure now, which is apart from idea 1, comma, idea 2. So we use this one to introduce a second idea. Pretty simple. So here's an example. Apart from exercising, maintaining a balanced diet is also essential for good health. So again, why have I got exercising in blue and why have I got diet in red? Well, I'm trying to show you that exercise is the first idea and then diet is the second idea. So we're using apart from to talk about two ideas. Exercise is the first idea, and then diet is the second idea. Let's look at another example. Apart from improving academic performance, reading at a young age helps develop critical thinking skills. Now have a look at the word improving. Why do I have an ing with improving? Well, it's because when we use apart from, we normally talk about an idea. And an idea is a thing. So to turn improve, the verb, into a noun, we simply have to add an ing, and this makes it a gerund, a word which acts as a noun. Let's look at the last example now. Apart from providing a stable income, having a job gives people a sense of purpose. So let's have a look at how we can use this to improve our grammar. Here's a low-level example. Exercise is good for your body. It is also good for your mental health. This is a very low-level example because we can easily join these two ideas together. Here is the high-level example. Exercise is vital for several reasons. Apart from just improving physical fitness, it alleviates stress, which is a common issue for a lot of people today. So instead of putting those two ideas into separate sentences, we have combined them. We are showing the examiner, if it's speaking or writing, that we can make longer sentences. We can make complex sentences. So instead of just saying and or also, try to use apart from. It's a great phrase to talk about another idea, and it's going to make your grammar sound much more professional. Let's move on to structure 5 now, which is so plus adjective plus that. Now we use this one to show how strong something is with a result. So let's look at an example. Large metropolises are often so noisy that people have trouble sleeping. So the first bit in the blue is the idea or the topic. We're saying that big cities are so noisy. And then in the red, we've got the result. What is the result of all that noise? Let's look at another example now. The university's reputation is so prestigious that students from all over the world apply for admission. So the idea is that the reputation is so good, and then the effect is that so many students from all over the world want to apply to get into this university. Let's look at one more example now. The job market is so competitive that fresh graduates struggle to find employment. So once again, let's have a look at how this structure can be used to improve your grammar score. Here's a low-level example. The test was hard. I couldn't finish it. These are two very, very short and simple sentences. So let's make this much better, more advanced, more professional. The test was so difficult that many students were unable to complete it in time. And also note that when you're trying to improve your IELTS score, whether that's for speaking or for writing, always try and use higher level vocabulary. So for example, instead of saying finish, say complete. Instead of saying could not, say unable. So instead of just saying very plus adjective, try using so plus adjective plus that. So all of these structures in this lesson are going to really help to improve your grammar score. If you also want to improve your vocabulary as well, check out this video right here.